ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 11, Calculation of Time from the Atom. So, a brief revision of Chapter 10. Chapter 10, we have seen divisions of the creation. So, Vidura inquired about Lord Brahma's creation to Maitreya Muni. And later section, we have seen how Lord Brahmaji, he performed various austerities. Divyam Varshashatam Tapahat, 100 demigod years, which is like 36,000 solar years. And then Brahmaji, when he saw this wind and devastating water, which was disturbing him a lot, by the potency of his tapasya and by the empowerment by the Supreme Lord, he drank this wind and the water. And thus, he further divided the stem into the 3 parts within the lotus stem, into 3 parts and the 14 worlds. Dvi Saptadha. And later Brahmaji, he created the secondary creation. Vidura asks about the characteristics of the time. So here, 3 brief shlokas. Maitreya Muni is explaining about characteristics of the time. Why? Because this next chapter, that is chapter 11th, is dedicated to time itself. So there is a brief description of the time and how time is. Srila Prabhupada writes a brilliant, beautiful purport on the time, right? 3.10.11. How the time is the personal feature, which is the background assisting element to the Supreme Lord. And later, Brahmaji, after creating the time, then he had the 10 divisions of secondary creation. So these 10 divisions of creations are in detail are being described here. How there are Panchanakhan, 28 different types of personalities. Then there is creation of the human that we have seen yesterday. And now we come to the calculation of time from the atom. So this section is divided into 4 parts. Text 1 to 15, divisions of time. Text 16 to 17, 16 and 17, Vidura is further inquiring about personalities, those beyond this kalpa. Kalpa is the day of Brahma. So Bhagavatam goes, that it's really the interstellar. Okay. Bhagavatam really goes at times beyond Brahma's day, beyond this universe, and what the people generally aspire for. So that is really there in the Bhagavatam, right? Matrix and interstellar is the theme of Bhagavatam. Text 18 to 27, duration of the yugas and the manus. This is being described. And 28 to 37, destruction of this universe, because this also comes under the jurisdiction of time, and Lord Brahmaji's lifespan. Those will be discussed in the 4th section. So now we begin with the section 1, division of time. Maitreya uvacha charama sadvisheshena aniko sanyuta sada paramano savidneyo nrunamaikya brahmo yatah. Translation.
The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible identity, even after the dissolution of all forms. Material body is but a combination of such atoms, but it is misunderstood by the common man. Purport. The atomic description of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is almost the same as the modern science of atomism, and this is further described in the Paramanu Vada of Kannada. In modern science also, the atom is accepted as the ultimate indivisible particle of which the universe is composed. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the full text of all descriptions of knowledge, including the theory of atomism. The atom is the minute subtle form of eternal time. Hare Krishna.
So now, beginning from the atom, this chapter is going to describe up to destruction of the universe. Look at the span of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, just one chapter. From atom to destruction of the universe. So here, there is a description of the material manifestation's ultimate particle. That is called as atom. Everything exists as the indivisible identity even after the dissolution of all forms. And the material body is just the combination of such atoms, which is otherwise misunderstood by the common man. So here we are discussing the Paramanu Vada. Prabhupada says the atomic description of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is almost similar to modern day atomism. So we know that Kṛṣṇa, he proposed the Paramanu Vada. And again, if we go a little bit deeper in that, Anu and Paramanu. So atom is Anu, and Paramanu, Prabhupada says that one Anu has 6 Paramanus. And so you can go into the detail of those, the quarks and the protons, and even the divisible parts of the atoms, and even up to the point of the boson, that they are calling it as a God particle, right? So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the full text of all descriptions of the knowledge, and therefore by reading Bhagavatam one can attain. Of course, the goal of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is not to give the description of the atom, but as the part of the creation, atom is also being given a space in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Text 2. Sateva padarthasya svarupavasthitasya yat kaivalyam param mahan avishesho nirantaraha. Translation.
Translation. Atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. They are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atom themselves form the complete manifestation. Hare Krishna.
So not only the universe is manifested, the minutest part of the universe, atom, is also manifested, right? So the atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. So, just like we have in Sanskrit saying, Yat pindi tad brahmandi. From brahmanda to pinda, it's all the series of the same fractals. So this is, one can see here, there is a beautiful fractal creation. From the atom to the universe, it's all manifested. The beautiful statement. Atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called as unlimited oneness. Right. Text 3. Evam kalopyo anumitam saukshme sthaulye cha sattama samsthana bhuktva bhagavan avyakto vyakta vibuhu. Translation.
One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the almighty personality of Godhead, Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world.
So one can estimate time by the atomic clock. So this is the one of the most accurate clock is there in the, I think, Great Britain. And this most accurate clock is supposed to be based on the atomic clock. So here, this is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Look at this. One can estimate time by measuring the movements of the atomic combination of bodies. And this time is the potency of the Supreme Lord Hari, Avyakto Vyakta Vibhuhu, who controls all physical elements, although he is not visible in the physical world. So he is not visible, but still has the complete control. And because he is not visible, he is called as Avyakta here. Text 4. Sakala Paramanurvair Yobhungte Paramanutam Sato Vishesha Bhukyatstu Sakala Paramo Mahan. Translation.
Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space. The time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the great time. Purport: time and space are two correlative terms. Time is measured in terms of its covering a certain space of atoms. Standard time is calculated in terms of the movement of the sun. The time covered by the sun is in passing over an atom is calculated as atomic time. The greatest time of all covers the entire existence of the non-dual manifestation. All the planets rotate and cover space, and space is calculated in terms of atoms. Each planet has its particular orbit for rotating, in which it moves without deviation, and similarly the sun has its orbit. The complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, measured in terms of circulation of the total planetary system until the end of creation, is known as the Supreme Kala. Hare Krishna.
Further, Maitreya says, atomic time is measured according to the covering a particular atomic space. Look at this. We are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and there is space and time description right in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describing creation. There is no other literature. When we say there is no other literature which comes close to Bhagavad Gita or Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, this is the reason, right? So why now we are talking about the space and time, and this is written at least 5,000 years ago, right? Atomic time is measured according to the covering of particular atomic space. That time which covers the unlimited aggregate of the atoms is called Kala Paramo Mahan, the great time. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, time and space are two correlative terms. This is the precise difference between Newton's physics and the Einstein's physics, right? So this is Newton and Einstein. Prabhupada just combines in just one statement. Time and space are two correlative terms. So Newton described gravity as a concept of gravity. Einstein described gravity with reference to the curvature of the space, right? And how the mass of the body, that is the atom, aggregation of the atom, is going to affect the gravity, and which is curvature of the space, and how that affects the time. Okay, this was the precise difference between Newton and Einstein's physics theory. And here Prabhupada says time and space are two correlative terms. Time is measured in terms of its covering certain space of atoms. Now, this is also very important. See, what we call as time, Prabhupada says, the standard time is calculated in terms of movement of the sun. Like for us, those living on the earth, 1 year means the time it takes for earth to rotate around the sun. This is the heliocentric idea. Or from the geocentric idea, which is also same, a time sun requires to rotate around the earth. Okay, so this is the geocentric. Geo is earth. Geocentric means, keeping earth in the center. So what the Bhagavatam perspective is, everything is rotating. Later we'll see that, everything is rotating around the pole star, which is, Prabhupada writes there, which is the planet of the devotee of the Lord, Dhruva. And Prabhupada says in the purport, just imagine the entire manifest creation rotates around the pole star, Dhruva Loka. This is the position of a devotee. What must be the position of the Supreme Lord? Okay, we'll come to that purport. Very beautifully Prabhupada describes that there. So when everything is rotating, now modern science also accepts this. Everything is rotating, they say. That the earth is rotating around itself. While rotating around itself, it is rotating around the sun. While the entire system is rotating around the sun is rotating around within the galaxy, and the entire galaxy is rotating around the black hole, and all the system is also rotating around something. So everything is rotating. So Bhagavatam says, when everything is so much in motion, when everything is rotating, what you will think as a constant? Modern science thinks that the sun is constant and the earth is rotating around. Because sun is rotating lesser than earth. From that, Bhagavatam says, when everything is rotating, consider yourself to be constant. And therefore, there is a difference between geocentric model and the heliocentric model. So heliocentric model says the earth is constant and everything is rotating around the earth, at least within the solar system. Geocentric model says, let us consider earth to be constant within that relative motion, and let us now put your telescope within the earth, consider this to be constant, and consider that whole thing is rotating around the earth. Just like, for example, when you are sitting in a train and another train passes against your speed, then suddenly you will see that the speed at which both are passing is added, right? Some train is overtaking you in the same direction, then you will feel that the other train's speed is much lower, because you are measuring the other speed based on your position, right? So therefore, Bhagavatam proposes the geocentric worldview of the universe. Now, anyway, whatever the center is, the calculations end of the day will come the same. So now for us, on the people on the earth, it takes, we'll go by the conventional understanding, it takes 1 year to rotate around the sun, and therefore our 1 year is equal to 365 days, 1 year. But somebody who is situated on the planet Jupiter, for them the 1 year is equal to our 12 years, right? And therefore Prabhupada writes here, the standard time is calculated in terms of movement of the sun, right? So solar 1 year is 1 year, earthly 1 year is 1 year, but the Jupiterly 1 year is equal to 12 earth years. Why? Because the time there is calculated in terms of the movement of the sun, or in our context, in this modern context, movement of the object around the sun, right? Thus, the time is measured in terms of its covering a certain space of atoms. Further, Prabhupada says here, the time covered by the sun is passing over an atom is calculated as the atomic time. Okay, the time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is calculated as the atomic time. The greatest time of all covers the entire existence of the non-dual manifestation. And this time is called as Kalaha Paramo Mahan. All the planets rotate and cover space, and the space is calculated in terms of atoms. Each planet has its particular orbit for rotating, in which it moves without a deviation. Similarly, the sun has its orbit. Okay, so sun, so there is one shloka which says, Vato Vati Madbhayat, Surya Stapati Madbhayat, Varshati Indro. So why all this is under the supervision of the Supreme Lord? Prabhupada says the ocean is not crossing the boundary because of the instruction of the Lord, right? So the sun is also moving in its own orbit. So there is a very beautiful statement by one scientist, which is one of my very favorite statements. I think it was one who proposed this theory of the Big Bang theory. So he says that, a very beautiful statement. He wrote a letter to Einstein where he says, when you start sipping the coffee of science, you will become atheist. You will think that, oh, science explains this, science explains that. Oh, where the God is required, God is not there in the picture. There is nothing called as God. Only stupid, foolish, religious people who cannot find the answers on their own will say there is something called as God. But he says, when you drink the entire coffee of the science, at the bottom of the cup of the coffee, you will find God smiling at you. These are not some ulta-pulta scientist here and there doing some PhD, writing some 3-4 research papers. We are not talking about these. We are talking about the fathers of the science, right? I think Maitreya, writing this to Einstein. And these are the statements. Kelvin, we know that degree Kelvin is equal to degree Celsius plus 273 and all that. So he writes that there is a very famous statement, more you will study science, more you will become devotee of God. More you will become theistic, more you study science. So this is a beautiful statement. At the beginning of when you start sipping the coffee of the science, you will become atheist, only to find when you complete the cup of the coffee, at the bottom, God is smiling at you, right? So then there are mathematicians. We are talking about some of those who originated the mathematics. Okay, we are not talking about some small stuff here and there. They say that universe is ultimate artistry in mathematics by the Supreme Lord. What to speak of the supreme mathematician, Ramanujan. So this is how the greatest in their field automatically become devotee of the Supreme Lord. So we are reading Bhagavatam, by the way. The complete calculation of time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, measured in terms of the circulation of the total planetary systems until the end of creation, is known as Supreme Kala. Now, when we say, what is the lifespan of Brahma, and we calculate that lifespan of Brahma, Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 years. So we are precisely saying 432,000 solar years. And then Treta is for double, Dwapar is for triple. In this cycle, it is differently, because this cycle, the Dwapar Treta came earlier than Dwapar. And the Satya Yuga is the 4 times. And then there are such 1,000 Sahastra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Viduhu. And then there is a equal night of Brahma. And then such 100 years, 360 days in a year, and 100 such years Brahmaji lives. So all these calculations, Prabhupada says, the complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, we are calculating based on the circulation of the total planetary systems. In which planet we are residing. This is according to the solar. If you go to the demigod's planet, then for them, Kali Yuga lasts for 12,000 years. And their calculation is different, right? Kali Yuga lasts for 12,000 years. Dwapar Yuga will last for 24,000 years. Their calculation is in those terms. So this is the explanation of the complete calculation of the time of the creation, right? Based on where you are residing. So what a purport, amazing explanation. Space and time in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's awesome. Text 5. Anurdvau paramanu syat trastre trenustraya smritah jalarkarashmir abagata kham evanupatan agat. Translation.
The division of gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make one double atom, and 3 double atoms make one hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky. The atom is described as an invisible particle, but when 6 such atoms combine together, they are called a trasarenu. And this is visible in the sunshine pouring through the holes of a window screen.
Yeah. So the division of the gross time is calculated as follows. Now look at this, the beauty here. Time is calculated in terms of atoms, right? Time and space, so closely related. Division of gross time is calculated as follows. How it is calculated? 2 atoms make one double atom, and 3 such double atoms, 3 into 2, 6. They are called as the hexagon, which is visible in the sunshine. So Bhagavatam is so beautiful. This is the beauty of the Vedic literature. They will take us from known to unknown. Now this concept of time and space is to be explained. And now Bhagavatam says, every day you see sunshine, and when you see sunshine coming through your window glass, you will see hexagon, which we have seen. If not, when the rising sun, you can see the sun rays coming inside. You will find the hexagon. And as soon as we remember the hexagon, we should remember this is the time entering through the window in the form of atoms. Right? Time entering through the window in the form of atoms. So very, very beautiful description of space and time by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. So we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Indeed, very beautifully explained, but it was definitely a very heavy dose. So we'll have to, contemplate more on this. One statement in the text too, Prabhuji, when they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. So can you please throw some light on this, Prabhuji?
Yeah, when the atoms stay in their one form. So this is basically this is about the muhūrta. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is basically about the muhūrta. So they are called as a unlimited oneness because the vyakta is not yet come. It is still avyakta. Right?
Yeah, explains, Prabhuji. This explains clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank
It's
you,
even heavy for
Prabhupada.
me.
Thank you,
That's why
Prabhupada.
we just close little early.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Hare
everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.